Today I want to refilm Secrets of the Universe, how to read a Verdic birth chart, because I lost that video and I really want that video on my channel. So join me and I'm going to show you how to get your birth chart for free and how to read it for free as well. Okay, so this is re-recording it. Basically, I looked into Vedic astrology because I wanted to find out why in Sri Lanka, when the astrologer looked at my birth chart and told my mum how it's the most blessed chart, but we've gone through so much struggles and so much conflict. So basically I looked into it deeper and I just wanted to see what it means. So I got my birth chart that was done when I was born in Sri Lanka, and that's this one. And at the front page it shows each planet and what houses they're in at my time of birth. So when I looked at my chart, it's got my date of birth at the top, 9th January 1988. And somewhere here it's got my time of birth as well, where I was born at 9:10 in the morning. At the back it's got my first number saying 9, and one of them says my destiny numbers are 9, and one of them says my name numbers are 9 as well. So I'm trying to find quickly where it says 9:10 in the morning. Somewhere on this chart anyway. And it matched exactly the software that I found on the internet. So to get it up, you can join this for free. They only charge if you ask questions. So what you do is you go to File, it's my chart. I looked at some of my friends' one for free because I wouldn't want to do astrology services because you're playing around people's insecurities and you're going to be charging them money and telling them their dreams are going to come true when you don't know anything that's going to happen. This is just an estimate. This is like a system that everyone's looked at, and there seems to be quite a lot of accuracy in this, but we can never be sure. So, and it's bad luck as well to do something like that. So if I was to edit my chart, all you have to do is enter your name, whether you're male or female, your date of birth, your time of birth is very important because the rising sign changes every 20 minutes, I heard. I'm not really sure about that, but you need the accurate time of birth within 20 minutes away. You need to put your place of birth and it works out the longitude and the latitude. So I'm going to click done and save. And on the side we just click print detailed Kundalini and reports. You can download it or you can just view it. Okay, so this is my birth chart. Male, born 9th January 88, born at 9:10 in the morning. I was born on a Saturday. And it's got all these other stuff that you can just research. If you want to, for example, find out what it means, your TD Panjami, you just type it in Google and it'll find out for you. And it tells like what the bad days are. You know, ironically, I've got lots of problems with my dad, and he's Mahir, I'm sure, and my mum, her birth star is Moolam. And if you see here, it's got something called Lagna, and my Lagna is Aquarius, that's the rising sign. So that shows what kind of a family you'll be brought around, and it works till you're 30. And what rules the Lagna is Saturn. And it's got my moon sign, which is Leo, which is ruled by the sun. And it's got my birth star, which is associated with the moon sign, and it's Puram, and it's ruled by Venus. And it's got my sun sign in Indian sun sign and it's got the Western sun sign as well. And whatever moon sign you are, basically your birth star rules what dasha is going to start at. So because my birth star for Leo moon sign is Puram and it's ruled by Venus, my life started in the Venus dasha. And the first one is always a calculation. It should ideally be 20 years, but because it's the first one that I entered into, it's always a calculation. So my Venus dasha happened for 10 years, 6 months and 27 days roughly. If we come and see here, it says, for example, what the lucky metal is, my lucky stone, diamond. It says what the lucky days are. And this is the birth chart. And it shows here, for example, because I was born in the Venus dasha, I'll go through that from 9th January 88 to 6th of August 98. And then, I'll have the full 6 years of the Sun dasha, then 10 years of the the Moon dasha. And apparently for my rising sign, Aquarius, the Moon dasha is the worst. And last 10 years have been quite very bad. And what it says about the rising sign is that if a child is born in an Aquarius rising sign, it says that the mother grows ill as the child grows older. And it says that how the mum stays with an abusive man and she gets, destroyed, and then she basically turns abusive on her children. So these are like some shocking information that I found out. So after this just finished for me in the Moon dasha, and mine is in the 7th house. And apparently the 7th house, even though it's the house of marriage and partnerships, it says that it's a death-causing house because it's the house before the 8th house. So it's not all that. Then I'm going to be going through 7 years of the Mars dasha, then 18 years of the Rahu. Rahu is a node of the moon, and so is Ketu as well. It's a node of the moon. There's no planet associated with, 4 and 7. Basically, it gives you detailed information about your ascendant. And the main page is this says if someone's Mangalik or not, whether they're likely to have problems in getting married. And this looks at Seti Sati, what is called, it comes every 25 years and 5 months roughly, and it lasts 2.5 years in each sign before your moon sign, 2.5 years in your moon sign, and 2.5 years after your moon sign. So it's a 7.5 year period where karma is delivered through Saturn, and he looks at all the signs. So mine just finished in 2012 August, and it started in 2004. The main page is page 31 or 32, and that shows where all the planets were placed at our time of birth. So the moon sign never changes. It's our brain. It's it rules the mind. But the rising sign stops working, which is the Lagna, when you're about 30, 26 to 30, and the sun sign represents your soul. I'm going to go through this quickly. So here it is, planet consideration on page 31. This shows at my time of birth, my sun, what sign it was in the sign of Sagittarius, and it also shows that it was situated in the 11th house. And it says what it means. Like one paragraph explains what it means for the sun to be in the sign of Sagittarius and the implications of it being in the 11th house. So he's very lucky. The moon for me is in the 7th house. And each of these, the sun shows the vitality, the moon shows the emotions, Mars shows the person's fire that the individual has. Mercury shows more speech. Jupiter is quite a very big planet and it shows wealth, intellect. Venus is mostly to do with, love side, and Saturn is pure karma. And Rahu and Ketu are just nodes of the moon, but still you can see in my chart my Rahu is not very good, neither is my Ketu, but luckily for me I understand what the astrologer was saying to my mum. The sun is in the 11th house, which is the house of gains, and it's in the best house, and also it's in a very good sign. So it shows that my Saturn's powerfully placed. So it also shows that my Jupiter's in a powerful position in the 2nd house, the house of wealth, and it's also in the sign of Pisces, which is both friendly. So that's why the whole of the few paragraphs are very good. And it shows now what I'm going through is my Mars Dasha, and it shows this in the 10th house, the house of profession, and it's, in the sign of Scorpio, and it shows that it's very good. So, once the dash is finished, it doesn't come back. The main dasha, once it finishes, it does not come back. On the first page it shows here. So, when I was born, for 10 years the Venus Dasha happened, it's finished. Then I went through the 6 years of the Sun Dasha, it's finished. So I've just finished with the Moon Dasha as well. And once it's finished, but it still affects all the other. It goes like Moon Mars, Moon Rahu, Moon Jupiter. So what it does, it has implications. Only professional astrologers can tell how it works when two parts of it works together and looking at the current transit. So I'm just looking at it from just research, my own knowledge. So I'm not a professional astrologer or anything, but I know how to read a chart. And ironically, when I looked into Moon, not only is it the worst for the Aquarius rising sign, it also shows afflictions of the mind if it's in the 7th house. And when I started it, funny enough, I stopped smoking skunk I started smoking it when I was probably 15, but I stopped smoking it when I turned 16, and it was only 9 months later when I was sitting on a bus, I had a panic attack. And ironically, it happened around just as the Moon Dasha started, and it shows an imbalance in the mind, like a fluctuating mood. And luckily for me, I only had panic attacks for a few months, but that was when my sister stole money from the house, and I thought she started, scaring me, trying to say someone stole the money, some thieves, and they're trying to do some black magic on me and stuff, and I got freaked out. And basically that's when I got panic attacks. But it stopped a few months later. But then, as it finished and my granddad passed away, I had a full-on nervous breakdown. So a good thing I didn't have it in between. So I recovered quickly from that. But the worst part of my life is over now. So I'm happy. I'm looking forward to the Mars in the 7th house. And there is quite a lot of accuracy in this, because when I looked at my mum's birth chart, it shows that her Saturn's in the 8th house, and she had a bus accident, her leg snapped into two, and she's been ill ever since. So I've seen a couple of my friends' charts who are like doing import-export business. They're making like 200,000 a year, and they got Saturn in the 11th house. So, and they're going through that Saturn dash now as well. So I've seen quite a lot of accuracy in the birth charts. It's not to say it's 100% accurate, but it seems to be at least 70% accurate. And another thing I found out on my birth chart, lucky for me, most of the important planets are in power houses and power signs. So I'm lucky there. And it says here what you can do, where it says Lil Kitab prediction. It says what they can do to get beneficial effects of the planets, i.e. to improve your own karma. This is a quick video, so page 32, right? If you see on mine, Sun and Saturn are enemies. So Sun rules number 1 in numerology, Saturn rules number 8 in numerology, and in Verdic text and stuff, Saturn was the son of the Sun, and they hate each other. So in my chart, Sun is in Sagittarius in the 11th house, and it's also, if you look at my Saturn, it's also in the 11th house, and it's in the same sign, Sagittarius. And apparently if someone has Sun and Saturn in the same house, same sign, they have major issues with their parents. And it's quite interesting, all these little things. It seems to be quite very accurate. And to look at, signs and stuff, so the houses, you just type in Google Verdic houses, and it will tell you what it means, each house and its significance. For example, the first house is the house of self. The second house is the house of wealth. The third house is the house of courage and siblings. The fourth house is the house of mother and pleasures. The fifth house is the house of progeny, romance and competition. The sixth house is the house of enemy and disease. The seventh house is the house of marriage and partnerships. The eighth house is the house of accidents and death. So it's not very good. If any of your planets are in the eighth house, it's not very good at all. So it shows things going wrong in that time period. The ninth house is the house of fate and fortune. The 10th house is the house of profession. The 11th house is the house of casual incomes and gains. The 12th house is the house of expenses and losses. And also another thing, in my chart, when I was going through the Venus Dasha, that's the time we had to leave our house and literally run in Sri Lanka when the army were moving in. So I just wanted to leave this up on my channel so that I can let people know how to read the Verdic birth chart and how to get a full report, and just test it out for fun, see if there's accuracies, and just keep an eye out. Because I've noticed when the moon turns full, my emotions were running wild, and I used to always get fluctuating mood. And it turns out I had like a small imbalance in my chemicals in my brain. When I had the breakdown, they told me there was a small imbalance in the mind, in the chemicals in the brain. So more and more things seems to be getting more accurate. Yeah, when we was going through the Venus Dasha, the first 10 years of my life, that's when my mum had to leave her 8-bedroom house and literally run from the army because they were just moving in, shooting everyone down in Sri Lanka, in Jaffna. So I came here when I was 6 years old. So in that period of where Venus was in the house of losses, there was lots of huge, immense losses for my parents and my grandparents and most of my relatives as well. So this is what I wanted to just read out and just keep on my channel. So just make sure you guys check out page 31, because that never changes, and that's what our whole life is determined by. each placement according to our time of birth. It never changes, and you can try and mitigate it, but whatever's meant to happen will happen. You can't escape it. Our karma, we have to go through anything we're meant to go through, whether it's good or bad. And being vegetarian and praying helps, and being of good moral character helps. But whatever we're meant to go through, we have to go through it. So yep, page 31 through to roughly page 35. Yep, that's the most important. And these are like all these other calculations and all these other charts. It's a study over thousands of years, and it's very, very interesting. There seems to be a lot of accuracy as well, from what I've seen from a few people's charts, just for fun. My friends, I read it for them. I don't, do astrology services and charge money and do this, because it is bad luck. I believe it to be bad luck to try and sit there and do that as a profession. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you guys enjoyed Secrets of the Universe, how to read a Verdic birth chart. Thank you.